perspective presented by the New Orleans Secular Humanist Association, following our few principles of humanism.
We're committed to the use of science and reason for understanding the universe and for solving human problems. We're skeptical of untested claims of knowledge, but we're open to new ideas.
We are concerned with securing justice and fairness in society and in ending intolerance and discrimination. We are committed to the total separation of religion and government.
We affirm humanism as a realistic alternative to the theologies of despair and the ideologies of violence. We reject the concept of an afterlife and believe in living a full and rewarding life here and now.
We value and respect each individual's right to judge and lead their lives according to their own position, as long as it's respectful of other people, living in a free society.
We hope you enjoy today's program and others in the weeks to follow. Hello, folks. It's me again. I'm Harry Greenberger, the host of this show. Today we have two guests from the Akula Foundation, Paul Mathis, who is the manager, and Christopher Guthrie. Welcome, both of you. Now, as I understand it, you're a local branch or organization of a national organization. Is that correct?
Well, it's a local organization. We do have some interest in other states, but primarily here in Mississippi.
But is New Orleans the main
right,
main location?
It's the metro area of New Orleans.
All right. Well, now I have some information about what your foundation does, but why don't you just start and give us some idea of who you are and what you do?
Sure, Harry. The Akula Foundation was established in 1995. It was started by Dr. Shiva Akula, a local practicing infectious disease specialist in the city. He and his family started the foundation as an outreach to the city, mainly in health prospects, helping people primarily who are in end-of-life stages and they need help with that. They didn't have any access to insurance benefits. The foundation was designed to help them get palliative care, comfort care, and to help them with end-of-life issues, and then also just to handle the issues revolving around loss and grief and that sort of thing. Then after Katrina, the foundation branched out and did some other programs. When Dr. Akula noted that there was a lot of loss and grief in the city, we established some grief support groups that were free in the community. And then we moved on to some other programs dealing with the elderly. The Grief Resource Center started helping with reminiscence. We created some reminiscence programs that we now offer in over 80 nursing homes free to those organizations. And then Children's Bereavement Camp, and then we try to educate the workforce, healthcare workforce, by offering free community education units so that they can get their licenses.
All right. You mentioned a lot of things that I want to hear more about.
Sure.
And I'm looking at where you say our goals, which you have pretty much mentioned. Provide services to indigent patients and families. Services such as, what is it specifically?
Hospice
you're
care,
doing?
palliative care, comfort measures, hospice care.
Hospice in my mind is a place. So is that what we're talking about?
Well, hospice is a philosophy to take care of all the aspects of end-of-life care.
I see. It need not be in a hospice facility.
Right. It can be in the home, or it can be in an inpatient or a nursing home facility.
All right. Now, what is your relation to the hospice facilities themselves?
Well, we work with Cannon Hospice. Dr. Akula also is the president of Cannon Hospice, and we do the indigent care through Cannon Hospice for those who don't have access to health care benefits. We offer that free to the community as a service.
Now, when you say Cannon Hospice, that is one of many hospice facilities.
Cannon Hospice is a local provider of hospice care.
All right, and so people who cannot afford to pay for it can still get that kind of care.
Right. That's what one of the missions of the foundation.
I see. Now, my understanding about hospice facilities is that people I guess, are aware, or maybe should be aware, that you go there for the end of your life, because you could be hospitalized, but there's not, but it is still terminal. Is that my understanding?
Correct. That's right.
And so rather than being in a hospital where they keep tubes and wires and medications, you go to a hospice where they keep you comfortable but don't try to extend your life. Is that my understanding?
Exactly. Hospice neither, we don't try to prolong life, we don't take away life, we just keep the patient comfortable until the transition is made, until they expire. But the main objective is to keep the patient comfortable and support the patient.
All right. Now, do you have people who visit the hospices and talk to patients, or other than your hospice, the others, do you have people who go out to those other hospices?
We have associations with other hospices, but the work of our foundation is strictly in the local community, and then of course Canon is a hospice provider that we work with through the foundation.
Do you have enough accommodations for the number of people who need it?
Well, that's, last year we took care of over about 80 patients. That would have been 2013. These patients didn't have any kind of benefit, so we helped them get hospice care. Hospice is normally covered, though, under Medicare, Medicaid, and then, of course, private insurances if people have access to insurance.
There are people, I think, on the streets who probably need what you could do.
Oh, yes.
What do you do about street people?
Well, sometimes we do encounter a homeless patient through like a hospital who would make a referral to us and would request, can we get this patient covered under, the foundation benefit. So we do get referrals of people who actually don't have a home or a house where they can be in. And, there are a lot of people out there who aren't covered, obviously.
From what I read and hear, many of them have mental problems.
That's true.
And I don't know what a hospice can do about that.
Well, that's within the realm of comfort measures. We try to support that patient. We have social workers and therapists who are available to help the patient make a transition.
Christopher, you feel free to interrupt or add or contribute. Right. Now tell me, what is it that you do for Akula?
I do all of our fundraising, and then I track all of our donations and donors.
Well, now we're on a new subject, which I'd like to talk about a little bit,
Sure.
But then we'll get back to the other things. I was going to ask you how all of this is funded, and when you say fundraising, and later we're going to talk about a fundraising event that you have coming up, but is that your main source of raising funds? Is that an annual event? Or,
right, yes, sir.
And do you have other sources of fundraising?
Well, mainly since we were started here, we've always had our most fundraisers in New Orleans, but now we started branching off, and we have them on the North Shore, Baton Rouge, and then hopefully we'll start doing them on the Mississippi Gulf Coast as well.
I see. But fundraisers are your primary source, or do you have donors who regularly give you?
Right, like if you have a patient within Canon Hospice, you can make a donation in their memory to the Akula Foundation.
I see, and you get many donations?
We do. So.
I see. Now, I learned about you from two places. I think it was a year ago I read about a fundraiser you were having, but more recently, someone who is supportive of Akula and works with you, I guess, in grief counseling.
Yes.
Gave me the packet of material about your fundraiser. And I said, well, I'd like to talk to Akula about what they do. And so she's the one who got you to contact me. And she is a grief counselor. How do they work? Is this pro bono that these people work?
Yes, another one of our signature programs is to offer grief support groups. We offer these free in the community to anyone who's had a loss. And we offer them in some area hospitals, such as Touro Hospital. We offer them in West Jefferson Medical Center. We offer them at Oxnard Baptist and the campus there. And of course, at the Elmwood facility where we have where Cannon has its inpatient unit, we have some available grief groups there. So this is any person that's had a loss can come, and we don't charge anything. It's a free service to the community.
How do people know about these events when they're scheduled?
Well, we have our website, akulafoundation.com. We also put ads in some things like Gambit to spread the word through clinical people who prefer people.
Okay, I always ask people to repeat their website so they have time to write it down.
Sure.
Your website is?
That's akulafoundation.com, A-K-U-L-A, foundation.com.
Good, all right. So anything people want to know about your organization, that's where they're going to find it. Now, these grief counselors, are they somehow licensed, or how does a person become a grief counselor?
Well, these people are licensed. They're licensed therapists, family therapists, social workers, all licensed people who perform the groups. And they're all acquainted with the notion of grief counseling and support, for that kind of loss.
Are some of them, now you do understand that our organization is non-religious.
Right.
Are some of those counselors like pastors of churches or priests or?
Chaplains are used, for instance, in hospice if a family wants that. But no, these grief support counselors they're licensed therapists. They're not clergy.
Because the most common grief counseling is, well, it was God's will,
right,
or he's better off.
Right.
That's not what your people do.
No, it's a mechanism of support to help the person deal with the change.
I just like to establish those things. Right. And and I understand that religious counseling can be very very helpful to some people, but would also be insulting to some others.
Well, exactly, and the whole principle of hospice and grief support and those areas, it's all up to the patient and their family. We're responding to what they're requesting and what they need. So nothing is foisted on anyone. That if they objected to it, it would be the kind of support they want.
Okay, now I'm reading here under your goals: to educate, to provide continuing education to hospice professionals, the medical and lay community, regarding the latest information on hospice and palliative care. Tell me what form this takes, this continuing education.
Well, primarily that's another activity that the foundation sponsors, another signature program, which is community educational programs, especially towards healthcare professionals as they're trying to renew their license requirements. They're required to get community education hours in a specialty field, the healthcare field. So we offer that free to social workers, nurses, other healthcare professionals who are trying to get these hours for their licenses.
And who in your organization conducts such sessions?
We use licensed clinicians, nurses, social workers who are physicians who are talking on a topic, and it can be around the area of grief support. It could be about nutrition. It could be about pain control. It could be about hospice issues, end-of-life care issues. All these things can be offered, and we offer them in some of the area hospitals and some other locations, and people can just sign up for free.
And these people who do the instruction, do they do that pro bono, or are they paid?
We do pay the speakers to perform their activity, but again, we try to raise money to offer this as a support to healthcare professionals to get their licenses.
Do you have other paid staff for Akula?
Yeah, we use volunteers to do some of our programs, but we also have some paid office staff who run the program.
I see. Well, Christopher, are you making the big bucks?
I wouldn't say I was making the big bucks, but
but you are part of the paid staff.
Right, yes, sir.
All right, well, I'm sure that Paul's making the big bucks.
I'm not making the big bucks, but I am paid too.
Well, I understand you're a nonprofit organization. Right. So is ours a nonprofit organization, but I never got paid anything.
Right.
All right. So you're saying that that's your continuing education. How often do you do that?
Well, I mean, we're working. Christopher and I are full-time people, so we're doing this as a full-time job. So that's and we do have full-time people who work in the office and so forth. But we also rely on volunteers. We have a lot of volunteers who help us with some of our programs.
All right. Well, the first part of this says that this is for hospice professionals, but you then say provide workshops regarding grief, depression, anxiety, elderly abuse, and other topics.
Exactly.
Now,
yes.
who comes to those workshops?
Well, primarily professionals who are, again, trying to get their license requirements in, their CEU, community, their clinical educational units that they have to get, like so many hours every year. So a lot of these people are social workers, nurses, LPNs, licensed practical nurses who need to get these hours. And these hours are accredited by the nursing boards and the social work boards for these people who are licensed. And then we have people in the community too who are coming, who are interested in the topic. They can come as well.
Well, one thing there jumped out at me. It says elderly abuse, and I have accused some people of doing that to me.
Right.
Do you find a considerable amount of elderly abuse in the community?
Well, the problem does exist, but what we do is we have a program, as I mentioned before, the Reminiscence Program, which we try to assist elder Americans who are in nursing home settings or assisted living settings. This is a program we offer for free to help them reminisce, help them socialize, help them improve their cognitive functioning by participating in these groups, which are run by licensed therapists as well. And we offer this as a free service throughout the community in Mississippi, Baton Rouge, Gulfport, Mississippi, New Orleans area, to nursing homes in all these areas.
But have you found that some of these people have been abused by family or neighbors, or elderly abuse is a scary thing?
Yeah, that is something that probably does come up in certain cases, and all licensed therapists are obligated to help that patient or person with that issue. And these things are reported if necessary, and therapy is looked into. All
right. Well, now, and Christopher, feel free to jump in if you want to contribute anything to what we're talking about. But there is another matter that I know that you all would like to talk about, and that is at least I think your next fundraiser, which is July the 18th. This is June the 30th. We're taping this show. Tell us about that.
You want to handle that, Christopher?
All that jazz will be July 18th. It's going to be at Rosie's Jazz Hall. It's from 7:30 until 10. We'll have food, a silent auction, cocktails, music. So it's going to be a fun time.
I see. And generally, how many people does this kind of event attract?
Last year our fundraiser had over 200 people, but it was more of a family type event. So this one I would expect maybe 150 or so.
Well, that's a good sized crowd, and your venue can accommodate a large crowd.
Right.
But you have local entertainment, musicians, and such. If people want to know more about the one that is coming up on July 18th, they go to that same web site that you gave them.
Yes, sure. And you want to give them a number too?
Yeah, or they can call us at 818-2723 and just ask for Christopher, and they'll connect them with me.
Say the number again.
818-2723.
All right. So you folks who want to support what we've been talking about here, that's an opportunity to do so. All right. Well, we still have a few minutes to go, and I'm sure I haven't gotten into everything that you would like the people to know about Akula. So go ahead and add whatever you want them to hear.
Well, certainly. One of the things that we really are proud of, and it's been going on for 7-8 years, are the children's bereavement camps, which we offer for free. We do this in Baton Rouge, Gulfport, Mississippi, and the greater metro New Orleans area. And this camp is for children aged 7 through 12 who've had a loss, a death, and it doesn't have to be a recent one. It can be something that happened over a year ago. They can come to the camp and just help talk about it and help try to adjust. We help them try to adjust to it, and we have various activities for them to perform, art activities and things. And we have licensed therapists who volunteer. That's primarily all volunteer, though, the people who are involved in that. And we offer that free to the children.
These young people can interact with other young people.
That's right.
Experiencing the same kind of thing. And is it your feeling that at the end of that camp that they feel comforted? Do they have a better frame of mind after that?
They do. It's important for them to be with other people who've had a similar experience and to be able to talk about it in a controlled environment. And our numbers are increasing with that. We had the most children attend ever at the one in New Orleans, which was actually on the camp on the North Shore. We utilized that. Yeah.
Do you get some feedback from the parents of those children who might say, "Thank you, things are much better now"?
That's true. We do. The parents are very involved, and really there's a need for some follow-up counseling as well, which is something we're trying to do. We're trying to raise money to do that, but to offer some free sessions where we can set up some groups for the children following the camp. And we've done this before, and we're trying to get it back online again, doing that again.
When you say camp, what facilities are we talking about?
Just that we'll rent a camp. There are camps all over the city in the North Shore and area, and we just rent the facility, have use of it for the weekend, and then we come in with our staff, and they provide food and the location and that sort of thing.
Well, when I think of camp, I would think of like swimming and water sports, or and maybe some other physical games. You do all of that?
Yeah, exactly. Now, in Baton Rouge, there'll be one coming up in August, and of course, we'll be swimming there. The one we have in November, right before Thanksgiving, is the New Orleans Metro Camp. That, of course, you're not swimming there because it's a cold environment then.
Oh, okay.
But we have, other activities going on.
You have some athletic stuff that they do. Okay, well, we still got a few minutes if you want to throw something else at us.
Another important thing we do is just community health education. We do this through, we have a radio broadcast, an AM radio broadcast.
Oh, well,
every Saturday.
I didn't see that listed in here. Well, tell us about your radio show.
Yeah, that's on 990 AM. We do that at 12 o'clock every Saturday. We'll have guests. We have therapists who talk, or any kind of guest that can talk about a pertinent health issue as an education venue for the public.
Are you the host of that show?
I know we have one of our managers, our administrators, Sue May, who's a nurse with Cannon Hospice, but also works with the foundation. She's the facilitator of the radio show, and then we have guests who come in.
Is that a call-in show or not?
Right, you can call in, and and it's an hour show on Saturdays.
I see. Well, that sounds of interest.
One other program that's important to mention is it's called the Advanced Illness Management Program. This program is offered for free to the community for families and a patient who's dealing with a complex array of illnesses. And this is a support service offered for them. They can sign up for. A nurse and social worker will kind of follow them and help them with the transition from this illness. And it would be a complex, chronic illness that they're dealing with.
I see.
We get referrals from hospitals, social workers, and such for that.
Now, regarding money for people who need your services, does the new health care law, does that fit in here somewhere, or is that not a part of their source of funds?
Well, yeah, that really wouldn't fit into this. We're pretty much offering this for no charge to people, so there's really no place we can bill for these services. So that's why we just endeavor to raise the money to offer this to the community for people who are in need.
So there's no if someone happens to have money but still need your kind of service, what do they do? Just make a donation?
They can make a donation.
Make a donation.
Right.
They're not paying directly for the service.
That's right.
All right. Well, tell me something else.
Well, let's see. Again, the fundraising is an important part of all this, and that's why we try to do these events to try to raise public awareness of the programs that we offer, and just to get the donations to try to continue and to try to expand. And one of the things we're doing with the Reminiscence program is that we're trying to study the value of this program, because we believe it helps seniors improve their functioning, improve their socialization skills, and their cognitive skills. So we have a partnership with the University of Louisiana Lafayette, their psychology department, to study the effectiveness of this approach that we use in the nursing homes. And we're going to see if we can prove that it really does help, and then we can promote it more as a venue.
Well, when will that study be complete?
Well, we're working on it right now. We're working with Lafayette now. We're doing some pilot groups in Lafayette at various nursing homes, and the University of Louisiana Psychology Department is going to study that to see if it's beneficial.
When you mention the many different localities in Louisiana where you're active, are your funds adequate, or are you running low, or are you?
Well, we always need donations.
But you can foresee a continuation of your activities
if we can raise the funding to promote it and increase it.
Well, that's up to Christopher, right?
He's got a tough job.
Well, how did you become a fundraiser? What in your background gave you that job?
I have a marketing degree, but they just kind of pushed me into doing this, I guess.
Do you enjoy doing that?
No, I love it, yeah.
Well, it helps if you like what you're doing.
Right.
All right. Well, we got just a couple minutes, but I'm looking again at what I got from your website. It says to dream, to grant special individual requests. Tell me, have you had some special individual requests?
Yeah, that involves particularly somebody who's dealing with end-of-life issues, either a patient or family. If there's something that they wanted to do to try to remember that person or try to go somewhere, it's a thing that the foundation does try to do to help people deal with the loss and to help them make the adjustment on things.
But that's what you do generally, to help grief counseling. But when it says here, special individual requests, how does that differ from what you're doing already?
Well, this would be mainly for a specific person or family. If they had a request, if they wanted to travel somewhere and they needed help in doing that, or if a hospice patient has a special dream in the course of their illness that they'd like to go make a visit to somewhere and they need help with that, the foundation can help with things like that.
I see. Well, with a little bit of time remaining, I would like to remind folks that you do have your next fundraiser, July the 18th. And where did you say this is? At Rosie's Jazz Hall at 500 Valent Street. And they can get more information by calling you or going to your website. Thank you, folks, for being here. And see us again next week.
Goes by fast.
It does. It